Hi, my name is Jeff Adler, and myself and my colleagues Luis Reyes and Eli Landau just finished the first module of our coding bootcamp. For the final task in this module, we had to create an app with basic database and CLI functionality. This is what we created. We call it the Spotify dating app. What it does is it lets you log in as a user, and pulling directly from the Spotify API lets you build a playlist of your favorite artists. It will use Spotify search to find artists and hold information on the artists, such as their popularity and their associated genres, which will enter their own database connected to the user. Just a few more preliminaries. A few gems that were extremely helpful in creating this app was one, the R Spotify gem. That's a Ruby gem specifically used to work with the Spotify API. Two was TTY prompt. That is what gave us this very nice visual look in terminal that you will see. And finally, we use the .env gem, which ensures that all your credentials, your Spotify API ID and secret key all remain confidential, even though our code is on GitHub. So with that, let's get started. So how do we begin? First, we have this menu, and we go to New User. So first, what's my name? My name is Jeff, as I said. I am 30 years old. I live in Brooklyn, New York. And my email is jeff@gmail.com. Okay, so how do we start? The first thing we're going to do is build our top 10 playlist. So I'm going to enter in a band. Here's Pavement. And now we see a few options, all from the Spotify database. So I'll choose Pavement. That will now put Pavement into my database connected with my user info. Now I'll enter a few more bands. And if you're interested, if you add an artist it doesn't find, no problem, just try again. No issue there. That information will all be saved. It's Nirvana. Let's add a few more. Let's get a few more pop artists in. So Kanye West. Let's do Tame Impala. We're almost getting there. Sit tight. Okay, so we have our artists. To make sure they were entered correctly, we can go to View or Change Top 10. So this is the main menu, I should add, sorry. So go to View or Change Top 10, and we see all the artists. If you noticed, the last artist I entered was Sean Paul. We don't see him here. That's because it's ensuring that our top 10 list does not exceed 10. So if I want to, I can say, oof, I really like Sean Paul. He's gotta be in my top 10. I click Change Top 10. It says, what would artists would you like to change? And I say, recently, Michael Jackson, he's not putting out any new content, so he's got to go. Yes, so I'm deleting Michael Jackson from my top 10. Now I go back to the main menu. I can add artist, Sean Paul. Please confirm your choice, Sean Paul. Now I'll go back to menu. If you look, View or Change Top 10, there it is, our friend Sean Paul. Okay, so that's how we have our top 10 playlists. And there you saw Add Artist. We can also get the genres. What this is going to show is this is all the genres associated with all the artists in my 10. And again, this is pulled right from the Spotify API. So one more time. So there's a lot of them. Spotify has very detailed information about genres. Now, here's the cool part. Here we get to the dating app part. Now what we're going to do is, so the app knows my artist and my genres. And what it's going to do is find other users in the database who also have similar artists and genres and match us accordingly. One thing I want to mention is that before running this program, I seeded the database with a few preset users. We built the users, but we pulled artist data and genres from Spotify. So these are, in that sense, organic Spotify users. So we go to Find Connections. We see your match is Crystal. Your connection strength with Crystal is 9 out of 10. That's very strong. And now I'd like to hand it over to Luis to talk about how we computed that score.
Luis here. So just to delve into the behind the scenes look. And so what's happening, what we're basically doing is we're searching through every user and we are doing two comparisons. We are looking at the artists and just seeing if they're matching, upon which we have a secret formula where we're tying a certain score based on specific artist's popularity. If very popular, we're going to get a slightly less score of a connection for a strength than we are if it's going to be an obscure artist. So after we do that connection, we then look at all the remaining artists and the genres that are connected to your profile. We compare the genre and we see how many of those genres do you match together. With the logic being, if you guys both like alternative music, you guys might want to match. We combine those two strengths and we and then we come up with the wonderful connection strength score for you. So with that, I'd like to pass it back to Jeff. Hopefully he matches with Crystal.
So I say, oh, wow, 9 out of 10. This person sounds just wonderful. So I connect. And what this is going to do is by connecting, I'm putting Crystal in the connections database. It's saying these are people that Jeff chose to connect with. Now it asks, want to find more prospects? Want to find more people to connect with? Sure. My match is with Eli. Connection strength, 7 out of 10. Well, that sounds pretty good. Let's connect. Best of luck. Finally, we see your match is Leslie, 5 out of 10. Okay, that's still pretty good. I'll connect. And we say, want to find more prospects? We got Chris, 5 out of 10. Still pretty good, but frankly, I'm new to this app. 3 people sounds like enough for now. So I'm going to pass. That's going to put him in the rejected database. Want to find more prospects? No, I'm okay for now. So now I have a few connections. We can see here, there's the 3 people I liked. But now what we want to do is I want to get people to like me back. And so what we're going to do there is I'm going to return to the login screen. I'm going to log in as one of the users I seeded, this being Eli. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Eli.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So from the login screen, you can go to returning user and then add in the email. So in my case, eli@gmail.com, just the holding email that we're using. And great, welcome to the menu, Eli. We've logged in as me, another returning user using the app. So now, if I go down to view connections and matches, I'm logging into the app for the first time today.
And just to be clear, we have his artist right here in viewer change top 10.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, as you'll see, my artists are a little different than Jeff's artists, but there are some similarities, certainly in what we like. And that's why we were able to use the connection calculator to form a connection to begin with. But if I go to view or find connections, I can look and see who my new connections are for today. So my match is Crystal. That sounds good, 7 out of 10. I'd like to connect. And my match is Jeff. Oh, that's a new user than one that Jeff had just logged in as. 7 out of 10, also pretty good. Let's connect to Jeff.
Do one more.
Great. Cameron, I don't know, 3 out of 10. It's kind of low. We'll pass on that. Great, no more prospects for today, but now I'd like to view my connections and matches and see if any of these users also liked me. I've got some connections that I've added, and whoa, I also had a match there. Jeff is a connection that connected with me, and as you'll notice, his email was also up there, so we could connect jeff@gmail.com. Great. Another useful thing about our app is there's an analytics section, which is just a fun, interesting thing to look at some of the statistics from our database based on what our users like. These are all essentially class methods drawing from each individual class and through joiner tables formulating statistics based on our users' interests. So the most popular artist, for example, would be the artist that the most users like. Currently, it's Kanye West with a whopping 6 fans. Well, he is running for president now, so here we are with that. Biggest flirt. Why don't we take a look and see which user has the most connections? It's Jeff. He's a new user, but he was really quick with his fingers to select a lot of connections. And you can see that he's the user that has the most connections so far in the app. The most obscure artist is the artist that has the lowest popularity in Spotify. So when we are drawing from the Spotify API for artists, we're also collecting the popularity information from those artists. And right now in our database, it's the Minutemen ranked #1 in Spotify in popularity. It's out of 100, so 1 is quite low in terms of popularity, and therefore they are the most obscure artists currently in our list. And we can also see the most popular genre. So the genre connected to the artists that users have selected. Hip hop, we've got a lot of hip hop fans in the database right now. The last bit of analytics we can look at is the average user connection count. So how many connections does each user have on average? And right now it's 0.625 connections. We've got a bunch of people who haven't connected yet. And that's basically the gist of the analytics here, all drawing from our class methods to gather the information on our database.
So that basically concludes our demonstration of the Spotify dating app, but it was an amazing exercise that in just 3 weeks, we could create an app with a sophisticated CLI, the ability to dynamically call a well-known API like Spotify, and finally set up a real connection recommendation dating app functionality. Thank you for listening, and let us know if you have any questions.